Hello everyone, my name is Simon Leuty. I'm the founder of Livingstone. Today we wanted to introduce you to our mini-series around optimizing your Microsoft contract. And to help me with that, I have a colleague, Gareth Redshaw. Gareth, could you give a quick introduction?
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. Gareth Redshaw, I'm the practice director responsible for our Microsoft and cloud consulting teams. As a team of people, we're typically from a background of working for retailers or even working for the vendor themselves. And that allows us to help clients in lots of different ways, but ultimately our objective is to understand the current and future technology requirements and then turn this into an optimization process which will reduce the costs prior to developing a very clean bill of materials ready to be negotiated with the vendor, which of course we support through that cycle as well.
Fantastic. And we're going to talk about a few hot topics today, Gareth, but could you just explain why we've structured this series in the way that we have?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've done lots of these sessions previously, and we tend to find that we really deep dive into some top topics. And these deep dive sessions take around about 45 minutes just to talk through one topic. And I think when we look at how people want to consume today, it's not necessarily to take 45 minutes out on one topic. So what we're trying to do is create a mini series where our customers and people who want to learn about what it is that is Microsoft today and how to negotiate Microsoft can take 5, maybe 10 minutes out of the time, review a quick video, maybe even over lunch, get a flavour for what's going on and some of the pointers that we can give. And then if anybody wants much more of a deeper dive session, the 45-minute, they can take time out of us on a one-to-one level and make it a bit more personal rather than us trying to kind of create a one-size-fits-all approach. So the mini-series is really tasked with quick bite-sized information to really help people be more effective in the way they approach Microsoft.
Fantastic. Okay. Let's just take a look at these, Gareth, and we'll spend a bit of time, a very brief explanation on each topic. This is one of the most popular ones that we're finding at the moment, isn't it? There's an impending price rise that Microsoft have publicised quite well. It's creating a lot of concern. So what are we going to be able to offer people in terms of information around episode 1?
Well, episode 1, you're absolutely right. That this really is a hot topic right now, and I suspect this is the one where we're going to get a lot of attendees. Right now, Microsoft have announced the price increase coming next year. Now, with that increase, it's not impacted every single product from Microsoft. It's a select few set of products. So the common questions that we're getting asked is exactly what is it that's been affected by the price increase? How do we plan? How do we avoid the price increases if we are consuming these technologies? But what plan should we look towards as an organisation to mitigate that risk as best as we possibly can by being aware that the price rises are coming and that we do want to mitigate it as best as we can without having to go through a big lengthy negotiation process at the last point we can. So what we're going to do is just talk about how to plan, how to prepare and what actually is affected by this announcement.
Fantastic. Now, episode 2 was a bit of a surprise to me, Gareth. I mean, maybe 3 years ago, this might not have been such a big hot topic. So what's changed around Power BI and Powerapps?
Yeah, it's a great point, Simon. For us, it's a big growth area. We're starting to see a lot more consumption, a lot more acceptance within the market for this area. We've seen organizations shift away from for Power BI, other business intelligence platforms towards Microsoft, and that's changing the dynamic of the negotiation. Microsoft's seeing growth areas here. It's an aggressive area for Microsoft when they look to the market to say, what is it where we've not got the market share? This is one of these areas, and that's changing the dynamic of negotiation enough for us to actually build a very specific topic around that. And it really comes down to how do we optimize, how do we forecast, and how do we look to utilize this information in our next contract negotiation, because it can be quite a big impactful area actually. So we'll be focused on those topics.
So if Microsoft's after that revenue, that means potential leverage in negotiation, right?
I think that's a fair statement, but it's making sure that we're not just buying these technologies because these are areas that are important to the vendor, and that we're actually buying these technologies because there's a consumption plan that means that, just because we get a fantastic price point against mass consumption, that we've actually got a need for mass consumption compared to just buying what we need. So there's the areas that we'll really get into.
I've always found Dynamics a complete mystery, Gareth. And as I understand it, 365 is now changing all of the time. So what can the people expect around episode 3?
Well, I've got to caveat this one with, we will do our best to be relevant and current, because Microsoft, to your point, moves the goalposts on Dynamics almost on a monthly basis. So what we'll be talking about is how the big bang license changes happened a couple of years ago now. We won't get into the micro level, the monthly changes that have occurred. We get into them on a project level. We'll look at the big changes that occurred in, I believe, 2019, and how we go about planning and executing a strategy towards mitigating that extra cost that will be incurred. I'm helping a client right now actually mitigate some costs, and they're expecting to have a circa 3 to 5 times cost uplift because of what they're consuming and how the packages were built previously. So if you are consuming Dynamics and you are interested in how we can help here and how you should be looking towards sort of planning more effectively, then this really is a session for you to attend.
So the big one, Azure, we're seeing huge growth in this area, huge complexity, a lot of sprawl and concern about how to manage Azure, but then obviously how to contract it. So what can we help with around Azure?
I think the first word is responsible procurement. That's 2 words. What we need to do when we look at Azure is look at how we go about not just making sure the next contract fits what you're doing today, but for Azure, it's all about looking forwards, because when we look forwards with most organizations, and if you're like any of our customers that we help, we'll have a good, strong view for the next 12 months. That's great that we've got a good, strong view for the next 12 months, but how do we go about thinking about forecasting past that 12-month period? How do we go about risk management, control, making sure that the forecast actually suits what it is you're about to consume? And if we get to the end of a 3-year term and we've made a commitment and we've reached that commitment in that last year, we've done a good job. But if we reach that commitment 18 months into an agreement, and it wasn't particularly good because you left leverage on the table during that contract negotiation. So we'll be talking to you a little bit about the forecasting, the planning, how that impacts the negotiation. And of course, we've got to think about optimization as well. If we just take a look at Azure and say, well, actually, we're going to negotiate a fantastic contract, it doesn't matter what we consume, that's not responsible anymore, is it? So we'll be talking to you about making sure that we've got the right measures, the right processes in place to mitigate as much cost as we go, rather than just to rely completely upon a negotiation process.
So episode 5 around end user compute, specifically E5 security, etc. I know this is a big push area for Microsoft right now, and it's also one that I commonly find some of our customers make assumptions and mistakes on. So how can we try and demystify the requirements around standard versus premium?
Yeah, it's a great topic. Another time we often talk about this, just the 2 of us actually. But right now we've got a situation where the more premium components available from Microsoft are becoming very attractive. Microsoft have moved themselves in a position of not just offering technology, but becoming market leaders in some of these technologies as well. That's the real game changer here. What makes it a little bit more interesting is when you take a look at these at a more component level. We work out who needs to be consuming these technologies, and it doesn't necessarily need to be the case that we talk exclusively E5 security. We talk to a separate team about telephony, a separate team about the compliance view. It's about bringing these conversations together and making sure that we understand really what's needed, where it's needed, and how we plan to utilize that information over the course of the next contract term as well. But you're absolutely right. This is one of the hot topics right now. It has been for some time, but right now with the impact of COVID and telephony being consumed a little bit more, it's really changing the shape of the next contract negotiation for most organizations.
With that eloquently brings us on to episode 6. So I assume the contract negotiation episode is trying to pull together all of these key hot topics and provide some guidance to customers about how they can get the best possible deal.
Yeah, I would say so, but we're going to look specifically at what's changed in the market. If we take a look at a contract negotiation 3 years ago or 6 years ago and assume that how that contract negotiation went is almost like a blueprint for the next contract negotiation, that's a false pretense to sort of walk forwards with. The world has moved quite a lot. The way that people consume Microsoft has moved forwards quite a lot as well. Clients have gone from new to retention conversations. They've gone from, we'd like to consume this to we are consuming this. We're now second, third, fourth generation cloud consumers. And that's changed the dynamic of the negotiation. And most people are a little bit surprised, a little bit disappointed as they go through that negotiation cycle. And I think you'll also notice as well, Simon, that we've got quite a large amount of customers now that felt they could go towards a contract negotiation from experience of doing these previously. And we're getting engaged by some customers with literally weeks before a contract's due to expire because they don't know what to do. We don't like getting involved with clients at this stage. We will if that's what we need to do, but it's much more effective to get ahead of that curve, plan effectively ahead, and don't get to that point where you're 2 or 3 weeks away from a negotiation and think, I'm not really sure what to do next. So we'll be talking to you about how that environment has shifted and moved over the last 3 years, and how planning is more important than ever before as we look towards a contract renewal.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for that, Gareth. If any of these topics are of interest, or you would like to attend around any of the items as they pertain to some of the largest investments you're probably making in software and cloud, please come and join us as part of the mini-series. And Gareth, I look forward to joining you again on episode 1.
Look forward to it.